So, like I've already said, my name is Bupe, and I am a young lady from Zambia, but I'm based in South Africa. And my name translates into English as Bupe, as a gift. And I want to give you a gift in the form of just a short poem that Dr. Nellie allowed me to be able to present. And it's dedicated to every woman who is getting her life in order. Just a reminder that there are women behind us that we also need to bring to the front. So here we go. Oh, woman, arise. You are beautiful and you are wise. Surely you can see how little progress there is in your absence. So don't sit quietly suffering in silence. You are a jewel. No, wait, not just a jewel, but you are fuel. You fuel love. You fuel hope. You fuel faith and you provide courage. Your tears are never empty. And though running is sometimes tempting, you hold on and you fix what they broke. And you continue to tick like a clock. You mesmerize me. I mesmerize me. And I mesmerize him. How I understand his work. How in submission I lead him. How in meekness I strengthen him. And how in wisdom I teach him. And yes, he is king, but all kings were born from queens. So queen, you better arise, for your time is now. Get up and shine. Arise. Thank you very much. Hello.
Thank you so much, Bupe. Thank you so much. You mesmerize me. Yes, thank you so much for that. Yes, it's amazing. Thank you. I'm sure you have inspired many women, and yeah, we look forward to having you next time as well. All right, Dr. Nellie, your time is now. Your time is now. Work-life balance. Let me just introduce myself. I like introducing myself because the way I introduce myself actually make me think, how do I balance myself? I am a woman. I am a wife. I am a mother. I am an entrepreneur. All in one. And yet, I have, like I said, I am a mother. So I brought these new lives into this world. And I want to make sure that I'm raising responsible men. But yet, I have to make sure that, you know what, I contribute toward their upbringing financially, economically. And how do I do that? How do I still continue the race of this life without missing my boat, without getting to a point where, yes, I succeed in business, but look at my family. I failed. Or yes, I failed my fam. I succeed in raising up families, but I struggle to actually have the means, you know, to actually, you know, sustain the family. I want that balanced life. And my inspiration is always the woman of Proverbs 31. How did she do it? You know, being a successful woman and yet being a wife and a mother that was praised by everyone. Thank you so much, and over to you, Dr. Nellie.
Wow, wow, what a powerful introduction. Well done, well done. Yes, just like Madeline has put it, there are so many titles. Let me just give you a quick brief history of how I met Madeline. It was in 2015 when Madeline and I clicked. She came to Zambia, and together with my organization, So Leading Women Africa, needed to honor our first Republican president, Dr. Kenneth Kaunda, and they were looking for a partner in Zambia. And that's how I connected with her. I organized here in Zambia, and we did work together. There were several women that came across the continent, and we did the honor. And I remember that day when we were blessed, you know, that it's time for women, it's time for women to take charge, it's time for women to do what they needed to do by our first Republican president. And from that time, that connection has been going strong and stronger. It is power for connection and power for networking, and to keep, you know, that network strong. And so here we are again in the virtual space, because last time she had to travel. This time we just have to connect online. So thank you so much, Madeline, for keeping the relationship strong. All right, so my name is Dr. Nellie Kangwa. For those who don't know me, just briefly about who I am. I am a young girl who grew up amongst boys. That's where I start from. I grew up amongst 6 boys. I was the only girl in that family. My father was a bishop in the Baptist church, and so I grew up in the religious environment. I observed a lot of things. So as you will listen to some of the things that I'll be talking about, you will see that the influence of my life, or the things that I do, or that I'm going to be doing, or the things that I've really gotten involved with, has been from that background, from that foundation. I observed a lot of things where I grew up from. I observed women, you know, first and foremost, they were just young girls in the choir. They were doing so well. They were all beautiful. Everything about them was just so lovely. But yet, even when, you know, this was happening, but yet there were so many things that I started observing when these, you know, young girls now became, you know, when they got married. When these young girls got married, it so happened that they started losing themselves, okay? They're losing their shape. They started losing their, you know, just their passion to become the best version that they needed to become. And as a result, this started worrying me at a very tender age. I started getting worried because I realized that whatever I was observing is what will happen to me. And that is how, in life, you can choose to be a victim of circumstances, or you can choose to be a victor. When I looked at what was happening, I started researching. Why was the woman losing herself? What was happening? The moment she became a wife, she became a mother, it's like there were too many things that she needed to do, and she neglected, you know, a very amazing part about her life. And that is the reason why in the search that I was having, I got to even pen down the book, The Make of a Real Woman. That is where I've penned down most of the revelations that I had to help a woman to thrive, a woman to become the best version that she should be. And so fast forward, as I was now, you know, mature in a lot of things, I realized actually that a woman needs to really work on herself in order to match up with what is going on today. Because how it was with our fathers or our parents, you know, our mothers, how it was then and how the situation is today is totally different. Now we are in an era where the competition is not really about macho strength. The competition now is more about intellect. Okay, it's more about intellect, how well or how best, okay, kindly mute yourself. Thank you. Okay, how best, you know, can you actually bring yourself out? How best can you bring your life out to become the best version that you're supposed to become? Because to compete now in the marketplace, you've got to compete, you know, from the place of intellect, and it's no longer from the place of not knowing what you're supposed to do from the macho point of view. Because long time ago, husbands are the ones who used to go into the mines. Husbands are the ones who used to go hunting. And so our mothers were at home to receive the hunter, to receive the miner, because most of these jobs were manual with strength. They needed strength. Today, it's not like that. So in the 21st century, there is a lot that women are supposed to do in order for us to actually step up into this new position we are supposed to step into, or this platform that has opened for us. So how are we going to do that? Before I get into how you can balance, you know, work and your life in different departments, I would love to talk about I think I've penned down about 6 Ds. There's about 12, but because today I think I just want to center, onto just about 6 of them that I'm going to give to you on how you need to develop your brand. You can never balance life and balance your career if you haven't branded yourself well, if you haven't worked on your personal brand. So it is very important for you to have that understanding that the first thing that you need to do is the first D, which I'm calling develop. You need to actually develop yourself. No, sorry, which I am calling discover. You need to first and foremost discover yourself. How do you discover yourself? You discover yourself by understanding the very gift that God has given to you, because all of you know that we're born with something within you that needs to be discovered. So how are you going to know this particular gift that is inside of you? You need to know that you actually know that thing without anybody teaching you. Nobody taught you to do that one thing that you love to do. Mute yourself. Tamara, mute yourself. Okay, so in discovering yourself, you've got to understand that one particular thing that you do, and nobody taught you how to do that. And how do you identify this? When you do that one thing, you get very excited, you feel happy, you are so joyful, you are so happy because you actually accomplished that one thing. Also, you will notice that if you are not doing that one thing, you actually feel sad. You don't feel excited. There's like something has been taken away from you. Another way to know, to discover that one thing, is that you almost can do it for free. Actually, you're not looking for payment. You love to do it even without pay. Of course, eventually, which is really what I'm going to be talking about, eventually you've got to develop that particular gift, because this is what I actually say. Your gift, okay, is your worth, and your worth is your wealth, and your wealth is your legacy. I'll say that again. Your gift is your worth. It is in discovering that gift that your worth, okay, the value that you have starts being identified. And it is from that worth where you start creating wealth. So initially, you may just be doing this thing for free, but eventually that worth is going to become wealth. And when you learn how to package your wealth properly, you will see that you will start now building a legacy. A legacy is something that outlives you. A legacy is where your life remains, your life remains here on earth beyond the tombstone. That is a legacy. So if whatever you are doing, it has to take only you to do, and no other person can take over, you are not yet leaving a legacy. You haven't yet discovered that particular thing that you are supposed to discover. Because in order for you to balance, what are you balancing? What are you balancing if you don't actually understand the reason for your existence? The second D is develop. Okay, so from discovery, you need now to develop that one thing. You need to develop that purpose. You need to develop that gift. In development, it has to do with you actually taking that particular gift to school. You can take it to school to go and learn. For example, when I realized that I'm a natural speaker, I've been talking like from when I was young. Whenever they are looking for somebody to give vote of thanks when I was in grade 2, my hand will be up. I always wanted to volunteer, to speak. I always volunteered to say something. And so I'm a natural speaker. Information comes out freely. Even here, as I'm seated here, I've only penned down just these points. The things I'm talking about, they are all coming out of my mind, because naturally, I love how to speak. Now, to develop this speaking, it needs to be properly packaged, okay? The way I pronounce words, if it's a workshop where I'm actually, with people, I'm supposed to also maintain eye contact, the way I'm moving my body, physiology, the tone of my voice, all those things matter. So I've got to now develop that gift in order for it to be needed. The reason why Madeline would love me, or she has invited me on a platform to speak, it is because she has looked at what I've been doing, I have developed my brand to an extent where now I can speak on this international platform. Why? Because I've been working on developing this particular gift that God gave to me. Each of you have got something, and when you develop it, you need now, the next thing is to define it. Defining your brand or defining your gift. It is where you state it very well. Who are you? Let me tell you, if you do not define yourself, other people will define you, and their definition will be wrong. If you're not always talking about who you are, what you have to offer, the services that you've got to offer, the products you have to offer, other people will misdefine you. So definition of who you are is very important. And so if you ask me today, who am I? I'm a strategist. I am a consultant. I'm a transformational, speaker. I'm a thought leader. Those are definitions that define who I am. And so from time to time, I like talking about who I am so that people can now associate my brand to who I am. Please define yourself. Would you want to be known as Mrs. Somebody? Would you want to be known as just your name? Would you want to be known as called something? Whatever it is that you are, you need to be the very first person to start defining who you are. Then other people now begin to follow through that definition that you have placed. And remember, a definition is not just about something that you're wishing and you are just, like, I wish to be this person. You must leave your definition. You must leave your brand. You must leave what you've defined. All right. Then the next thing after you've defined, documentation. Very important. Let me tell you, you need to learn this. That's a fourth point. You need to document. You need to learn to document who you are. You need to learn to write about your life. Today, we are in the virtual space. We are in the international platform. We are in the global village where people must know who you are. And in knowing who you are, you must document. You must find yourself on social media platforms. You must find yourself in the virtual space. This is what I usually tell, especially those that I mentor. If they place your name on Google, we put your name, for example, our lovely Bupe, as she was giving that poem, okay? If we put her name, Bupe Mlenga, what will Google do, okay? Will Google immediately identify you? Or like I usually say with my friend Akan, that will Google have epilepsy, to look for you, like, search button is just searching, and then they can't actually find your name. And then eventually, you know what they do? They would now, Google now ask, you mean? And then they pick another person who has been present. You need to understand documentation has to do with you writing consistently about your brand, consistently about who you are. You need to be present in the virtual space. If COVID hasn't yet knocked something on your mind, I want to beg you to understand that we are in this village and you can no longer remain in your corner. You can't remain in the corner of your community and hoping the world must know about you. It is through documentation that people will know who you are and will associate the brand with who you are. Okay, so let me talk about the next one, which is distribution. When you have documented, so we've talked about discover, develop, define, document. Now we are talking about distribution. When you have now documented, you now are consistent in the way you are bringing yourself out and the services. Here we are on this amazing platform. It's been documented. We know Leading Women Africa because Madeline has been very consistent with the brand. She's been very consistent. Other people have come and gone, but she's remained focused. The next thing is distribution. How do you distribute? You distribute by you actually duplicating your life. You distribute by franchising. It shouldn't just be you. It shouldn't just be you to be seen when it comes to the brand. When you've grown the brand, the next thing that you ought to know is that other people need to start benefiting from that brand. That is where wealth comes from. It is when people now are able to identify you with who you are services. I was, about an hour ago, I was handling a case, of a young man. And the reason why the parents actually released this young man to me, they were referred by another person. It is because I've been consistently talking about my brand, how I'm able to help develop your life, how I'm able to rescue your life. Yes, Gary, please mute your mic. Mute your mic, Gary. Okay. So how I'm able to actually bring myself out, and as a result, because I'm consistent to the things that I do, because I'm consistent, other people now are referring their clients to me. And I was able to handle that young man, gave him hope. By the time he was leaving my office, he has gone with a vision. Okay, why? Because I have been distributing myself, and people have now understood my brand, they've understood who I am, and they are able to refer other people to me. That is about distribution. Now let me tell you, the only way you will remain in the marketplace, the only way you remain still, with your voice speaking, is when you learn the new word, which is disruption. Whatever you're doing, you've got to add value. You've got to add value to what you're doing. You've got to learn to add some expertise. You need to add some skill so that you can cause some disruption. You need to know that you're not the only one who's doing what you're doing. There are other people, and there's competition out there. Now, because there's competition out there, you've got to have this understanding that you've got to add so much value to what you're doing, so much skill, so you can cause a disruption. When they mention your name in the area where you are, or on the globe, or in the continent, or in the nation, can they mention your name? If they cannot mention your name in that area of expertise, my friend, you are not yet causing a disruption. You need to develop your brand to an extent where when people are talking about what you do, when they begin to count their fingers, before they conclude with 5 fingers, your name must appear. Then you are causing a disruption, because a disruption is something that you bring in, especially when there is innovation. You need to learn to innovate. You need to learn to cause some sustainability in the things that you're doing in order to cause that disruption. So what are some of the things that I've been able to do? I've come up with slides to cause disruption, because even when I'm not there, other people can actually teach, from the things that I've prepared. I've got a YouTube channel, and I speak from there. So if you are looking for me, like I was telling one young lady who's about to get married, I asked her, have you read my book? No. Do you know about my YouTube channel? Yes. When did you last go there? Oh, there was a time you posted a link and I was there. I was like, okay, let me tell you something. I have every information on my YouTube channel. So if you want to learn about issues to do with where you're going in marriage, go click on this link. What am I saying? You need to cause disruption by you adding value and consistently developing yourself. And the final thing, the final D, it's not really the final one. Like I said, I think I've got about 12, but today I want to limit, because I want to really get into the balancing aspect. It is to dominate. Okay, it's actually my slogan, dominating my space. You need to learn. It's actually biblical. When God created man in his own image, he said, you know what, be fruitful, multiply, fill the earth, subdue, and have dominion. To dominate is to cause sustainability in the things that you believe in. It is where you stand firm. Even when competition comes, let me tell you, there are things other people can speak about, the same things I'm talking about. They can talk about personal branding. They can step on stage and wear the cape of the pastor. They can step on stage and be that, a relationship expert. Let me tell you, I've dominated in that space. You cannot, in my country especially, you cannot talk about marriage, who is an expert in marriage, and not mention my name. That is dominating. You cannot talk about a person who's training life coaches just in a space of, is it about 4 months or 6 months from August? I have trained over 100, coaches. So you cannot talk about a trainer, a master trainer who is helping people to find themselves, to become the best version of themselves, and not mention my name. That is dominating. You need to learn to dominate. That is about your life. That is about developing that one thing. Okay, so now let me put aside now these D's. I think I've spoken about 7 of them or so. There are several of them. But let me now get into talking about the actual topic we are actually are dealing with today, which is, you know, work and life balance. Let me tell you something. The more I have researched, the more I have come to understand this topic, I have understood one thing, that you can't actually balance. But let me qualify what I have said. Balance is not necessarily where you are at work and, you know, it's like you've got, you know, 2 things, okay? You've got 2 things. You've got a book here and you've got a diary here. And so because I need to read, and then I need to also write something, and then I need to ensure that I'm balancing these 2 things as I'm doing them. That is not balancing, because you are not going to give either of them 100%. Balancing, let me tell you how I discovered this. Balancing is when you give quality and not quantity. Quality, 101% to that one thing. Okay? 101% to that one thing. Now I'm in the marketplace. When I've gotten into my office, everything that I'm doing, I am putting in my very best. I'm adding extra to what I'm doing. As I'm doing this presentation, I'm putting in my very best, and I'm putting in quality, you know, a speech to what I'm bringing. The moment I am done, when I finish this presentation and I go home, okay, when I get home, I will switch off the computer, take off my beautiful shirt, okay, take off my beautiful shirt, take off my jacket, take off my heels, okay, because now I'm at home. I am going to get into the kitchen, look at what has happened in the kitchen, find out what was happening at home in the kitchen, ensure that, you know, dinner is prepared. Be part of preparation. If you are too busy or you've trained a helper, bless your meal. Listen to me. Before the meal gets on the table, on the dining table, please, as a woman, you need to have the last check. You need to ensure that the salt is tasting well. If you are at home, don't just reach home because you are so tired from your boss and what you were doing at work and everything. You get into the house. You are so tired. You lift your legs and you are changing channels. And then you are like, oh, shouting at the helper, you haven't put salt in this meal. How come there's too much cooking oil here? My dear, you are not balancing. Balancing is when you understand, when you have gotten at home, you need to have the last check in the kitchen. I'm talking about you as a woman, because like Madeline said, you cannot excel in one thing and fail in another. The reason why God has established this platform for us as women to actually become, as women, for us to, you know, to excel in the marketplace and still be pregnant and have babies and all, because God knows we can do it. And so when you have now reached home, you need to give home 100% attention. 101% attention. So you check out in the kitchen. When you've done that, of course, you need to also understand the sitting room. You need to be a social being. Do not bring your fatigue and your job frustration at home to your children and your husband. You need now to get in there and be that social being. I always give this example. My husband is a soccer fan and he celebrates Man U. He is a Man U supporter and all that. A few years ago, as I've been balancing my life, I had to join Arsenal. Okay, I had to join Arsenal just for me to create a balance at home, or for me to just bring a certain voice in the social life, in the space of my husband. I always tell people, your husband is not your grandfather, where you've got to load problems on him and you want him to understand your fatigue, understand how it was at work and everything. You need to have this basic understanding. When you get home, your husband doesn't really care how tired you are. You better get that, because you don't want to be a needle without cotton, where you are busy sewing, you know, like a needle. You are sewing. You look back, the cloth is still open, because as you've been at work, you are excelling in your career. career ladder. You have become a supervisor because you are hardworking. You have become a manager. You are now a director, powerful in the boardroom. But when you go home, you're so tired. You've carried work from work. You've now taken it home. You are frustrated because this, a deadline was not met and all that. You've got to know that you cannot excel in one thing and fail to excel in another. And the only way you can do that, it is when you put 100% to that one thing that you are doing at that particular time. That one thing. Concentrate. If you find me in the sitting room and I am there cheering, I'm part of the football match that is on there, you think I've been there forever. I'll even be standing. There are times I've even got some jerseys, t-shirts I went and bought. Arsenal for life. I have jerseys. I will reach there and wear a jersey, and I'll be sitting at the edge of the chair. Okay, sitting at the edge of the chair, busy pointing at all these players who are not playing properly. Hey, you move, this one move. You know what? I want to balance my life in that way. I'm giving it my all in that place. I want to be present. Please, you need to know one thing. You cannot excel in the marketplace and be a failure in your family, be a failure in your marriage. You can't. The fact that God has blessed you with a job does not mean you become a failure. So, we leave the sitting room, we get into the bedroom. Again, you've got to evolve in there. You've got to understand the language of your husband. You need to understand the language of your man. And you need to know that they get fed up with routine. You've got to know that men get fed up with routine. So get yourself, done up. You need to ensure that you leave your fatigue by the gate and charge your brain. After all, fatigue is in the brain. You need to understand. Give the bedroom 101%. Okay, be in that room with everything within you, with your emotions. Concentrate, because in that room, that is where you are spending more time. For heaven's sake, that is the place you actually invest good quality bed sheets, good quality this, because that is where you're going to spend almost 6 to 8 hours in that place. And therefore, it must be the most romantic place. It must be the most, peaceful place. There has to be that serenity in that place. That is balance. Balance is not you are at home, you are thinking about your baby, especially this generation, the young generation. You put it as though nobody has been to labor ward except you. You put it as though nobody has ever had a baby except you. So you get to work, you are telling people about how your daughter was walking, how your daughter was now, has started teething, and you take all your personal issues. Who is interested in your beautiful daughter at work? Nobody. You are the only one who's so excited about that daughter. So do not bring your personal life and your talks of how your baby was walking yesterday and how he learned how to talk, Some of us, my firstborn is 20, getting to 21. What will that story do to me? It won't do anything, because I'll just look at you like, are you the only one? You are seeing it now. We saw it 20 years ago. So you need to learn when you're in the marketplace. Concentrate. The marketplace is not your grandfather's playground where you need to carry all your emotional pain. You carry all your marriage problems. You start discussing with your friends about what your husband did. You start telling your boss about how that he came at 0-2. No, my friend. Balance is concentration. Balance is understanding the rules of engagement in the marketplace. Now, as I'm concluding on this, because I want to give more time for questions for us to interact. Okay. One other thing that I would love to also bring home is that in order for you to balance your life and the work that you're doing, or your career or your business, you have to understand the issues of likability. Okay, many women, we lack likability skill. We also lack emotional intelligence. We can be good at IQ, we can be good at hard work, but many times we become too rigid with our values, too rigid with, you know, minding your business, getting to your desk and minding your tray. You are just there to deliver. And you don't even want to actually relax a little bit, jog a little bit. This is just life, my friend. When you are in the marketplace, learn to pay attention to what is happening. Go into the kitchen, laugh at what other people are laughing at. Don't just get yourself into that, oh, because I've got too much work, so you are just concentrating on your laptop. Let me tell you, you will miss a lot of things. And as a result, you'll find yourself having a lot of work to do, and other people won't actually even help you because you think you are the most hardworking person, you are the most person who wants to be loved and all that. You better learn that. When you are in the marketplace, likability will cause other people to tip you on what is happening. Likability, when you add likability and emotional intelligence, when you put that together, you will see actually that when you bring in hard work and IQ, likability and emotional intelligence will help you to be smart. Will help you to work smart, because when you've developed, as you know, do you know likability is not about you just laughing. Likability is the skill inside of you. It is the energy inside of you. It is the positive disposition that you have inside of you, that malleable character. In NLP, we say, Wamba, can you mute yourself? Wamba, mute yourself. In NLP, we say, give up your right to be right. It's not everything you've got to be right in. Be right, have some values, but never be right about them. Because sometimes you will see that flexibility is what will cause you to actually understand a number of things or a lot of things that are happening in your life. Is when you are flexible. It is when you leave home, you are carrying that positive disposition, that positive, attitude. And it is that attitude with a positive energy that will cause other people to be attracted to you. And when people are attracted to you, they will speak on your behalf. You need to understand another thing. In the marketplace, you need to understand a sponsor. Who is your sponsor? Who is it that will speak on your behalf in the boardroom when you are not there, when they are about to promote you? That is balance. You have to understand this one thing, that when you know that this is my boss, okay, understand, and this is also information that I would like to give to you. If you've never read this book, The 48 Laws of Power, please read that book, but you must read that book with an open mind. The 48 Laws of Power. You need to read that book with an open mind, because if you read that book with a closed mind, you will think you are being deceptive. Because if you read that book with an open mind, law number one, never outplay your master. Some of you want to be the ones to be seen, and you want to shadow your boss. Oh my God, when you frustrate your boss, you are gone. And I'm not talking about bootlicking here. I'm talking about you being intelligent. Emotional intelligence will help you to balance yourself in the marketplace and understand who should you do good things for. Who should you think ahead for? Because if you have got a boss, you have no idea what bosses love. Bosses love any person who is thinking ahead. Anytime, Ella, mute yourself. Anytime you are in a work environment and you have to be telling people what to do, it is very frustrating as a boss. Okay, it's very frustrating as a boss when you've got a team of people with you and you've got to tell them what they're supposed to be doing. But imagine you are working with a boss and you have ideas, especially a leader like myself. I don't like working with people I have to think for. I love creative people who can come with suggestions. How about if we did this? How about if you want to be likable, be creative. Don't sit there sheepishly. You've got to understand. You've got to get to know exactly what your boss loves and what your boss wants. And you've got to be creative. Think ahead. Before even whatever you make that suggestion. And before he coughs, you've already brought in whatever it is that is needed to be done. Let me tell you, the balance of your promotion, the balance of your career ladder will go to another level. You've got to get in there and give it 100% focus. Focus your career on your career. Ensure to develop yourself. Ensure to put your purpose as number one. Then, a final thing that I would love to encourage every woman here. You can never love other people more than you do. Many women, you like burying yourself in marriage. You like burying yourself in childbearing. It is important for you to know the hierarchy or the priority. What is it that is a priority at a particular time? So if you've just gotten married, probably you may have discussed with your husband that you will give birth first, you know, and before you go to school, like it happened with me. I had a discussion with my husband that for the next 7 years, we're going to be in childbearing, you know, period and season. And so we sat with my husband, we planned that for the next 7 years is to get pregnant. It is important for you to win your husband as a stakeholder as you are balancing your life. If you fail to do that, my dear, you will hate everybody. You will hate your husband, you will hate the career, you will hate the children. So you need to balance very well. So if you're on is children first, then school later, or school early, then children later, it's up to you. Okay, it's really up to you. It is up to what you really want. As for me, I wanted to have babies first. I wanted to do away. You have no idea. I wanted to do away with all breastfeeding, getting pregnant, and all those morning sicknesses. I wanted to get rid of that, and to also have the children grow up the same, you know, at the same level. Like, you know, not this time I've stopped 5 years, you know, gap, and then I go back to whatever. I didn't want that. So you may want to adopt that, or it depends on how you discuss with your husband. And so after 7 years, when I was 30, I went cut. I went close, because now it was about me. So it is important for you to prioritize and understand which season are you in and what are your values in that particular season. And so for the 7 years of my marriage, my concentration was about my children, was about going to labor wards, was about me getting pregnant, and all that and all that. My friend, after 7 years in marriage, it was about me. That is the time I went back to school. That is the time I had my MBA. That is the time I had my doctorate. I am again going in April. For those who don't know, I was appointed recently by Zurich Elite Business School in Switzerland as an ambassador. And you know, that particular MBA is offering, you know, to develop your skill to another level, because there are many people with masters. I did masters, but let me tell you, nothing much. It just really, it improved my brain. I'm able to write business proposals here and there. But this particular one, because it's talking to the skill, I am going to do it again. I am going to do another MBA. It's going to be the second one. You know what? It's my time. It's my season to actually add value to myself. Never forget yourself as you are trying to be nice in this area. Again, never feel so trapped in your job environment. Some of you may need to really add so much skill to your gift so that you can step out of employment and become your own boss. But you've got to really learn the ropes of how the marketplace is. It is not easy for you to be an entrepreneur out there, because there are so many things that you've got to learn. And so it is important to understand that when it comes to whatever it is that you want to do, in order for you to balance you first. And that's where I'm concluding. Balance you first. Spirit, soul, and body. Be balanced. Spiritually, get aligned. Emotionally, which is your soul, your mind, your emotions, and your will, get them balanced. And finally, your body. Get your body balanced. You may just want to wake up in the morning, 10 minutes, spend it adding value to your body. Watch what you eat and get your body healthy. Take some supplements and be live as a young woman. Be live as an older woman. Even if you are older, 60, 70 years, you can still look youthful about your life. That is balancing. When you balance yourself, you can now balance other lives. It is paying attention to everything that you're doing and give it 101%. And so with that session, oh my God, All right. I've just gone 4 minutes past the discussion, and I'm giving 26 minutes for questions. 26 minutes for questions. So if you have any questions, please type your question in the chat box, and I'll be able to see that. Okay. Any questions? All right. Can I get any questions in the chat? You can just go where it says chat, type your question, or probably let me get to participant, or maybe you can lift your hand and unmute yourself and yeah, ask that question. Any question?
Dr. Nellie, it's me here.
Yes.
Madeleine. Yes. You mentioned something quite, quite unusual that I did not expect that you mention about that, about the bedroom. Talking about the bedroom and how you could balance and how you could do that. You are tired. I come from work. I am tired. How do you still have that energy to basically spice up your bedroom? Can you be a bit more practical?
Okay. All right. Okay. Very good. First and foremost, first things first. Okay. You first have to know, as a woman, you need to know that you are not married to your grandfather. That truth must be stuck in your mind, that your husband is not your grandfather, and therefore you don't want to nurse adulterous relationships. So it is all up to the man. And this is why I usually tell people the bedroom should be the most expensive place. That is where you need to add more value. Now, sex is in the mind. We are just going to be practical because we are saying bedroom. We think it's just a place to go and sleep. No, we're talking about the real issue here. The bedroom, you need to understand that sex is in the mind, and also fatigue is in the mind. So by what you tell yourself, when you are now driving back home and you are about to reach the gate, what you are saying, what you are telling your mind, you can get your groove in place. As you reach home, like what I usually do, the first thing that I do is to shower. That is the first thing that I do. And as I'm showering, I am telling my mind and I'm preparing my mind that first and foremost, my husband is not my grandfather. And therefore, I don't expect him to actually start attending to my fatigue. Okay, because as he is there, he's a man, and his body does not function the way my body functions. Every woman must know that. The way your body functions, and you can go 1 week without having sex, that is not the way a man's body functions. And so I think it is high time, Madeline, we will need to have this topic by itself so that I can do justice to it. Okay, it is very important to understand that the body of a man, and I'm able to describe because I've done research, the way a man's body, functions and the way a woman's body functions. I've done research, but I can't go into those details. But every woman must know that if a man takes a week and they did not have a release, okay, they begin to stress. As a woman, because of the way you are positioned, because of the way you are created, there is that normal flora. You keep on releasing because your place is open. Okay, down there you are open and you are always relieving yourself. You are always releasing. A man is trapped, and God made it that way so that we can have this balance. Imagine if a man was also made like a woman. People would stay 1 year without making love. But because of the way God made a man, that is how come the marriage, altar is actually embraced. In the bedroom, you can get to balance by what you are telling your mind. You need to prepare yourself. I usually tell people, you shouldn't behave like an old Land Rover in the bedroom where you got to be started by somebody. Start yourself. And starting yourself is a decision. Remember, you are in power. You've got power to decide what you want. You shouldn't decide like like a Land Rover. You need to. No, you can't. That's not your grandfather. He doesn't have such time. So you need to up your game. Like I said, it's 101%. You reach in your bedroom. It's all beautiful. You wear the lingerie. You're looking all sexy, and you must start making your mind. Start making your mind to be active. This is not a play game. It's not a playground, because you succeed in the marketplace, your marriage is failing because of fatigue. Hey, fatigue. We'll need to do a full session on marriage, Madeline. Full session.
I'm definitely with you on that. I'm really enjoying every moment of it. I see a question on the chat. It says, what avenues can one use to get to know themselves better, though able to reach the balance they so need? And that is from Ngoza.
Okay, Ngoza. Yeah, so to know yourself better, it is where you find, where do you really find joy? What is it that makes you feel happy? Because nobody can define happiness for you. You have to define happiness for yourself. So for example, okay, what avenues can I use to find myself? For example, I get so excited when I wake up in the morning and I exercise. I feel so happy, and I get to know my body. I get to know who I am. I get to know the things that I love to do. So whatever it is that I do and I find joy, why not do it? Okay? When I'm amongst ladies who are gossiping, oh my God, you have no idea. I get so drained. I get so drained when I am amongst people that are discussing other people. I get drained, so I avoid those places. So what am I saying? What is it that when you do, when you act, you feel good? Do that often. That way you find yourself even more. Because as you do that which you love to do often, like I'm doing, I can talk up to midnight. I love talking. I love expressing, values. I love expressing wisdom, knowledge to other people. And so the more I do this, the more I'm doing this, the more I'm excited. Now, let me tell you again, coming to the question that Madeline asked, do you know that when I've done this that I love to do, I'm the best at home. I'm the best in the bedroom. And my husband knows that. That is why he allows me to do what I love to do, because when I do what I love to do, I am so joyful. I'm so energized. I don't go home tired. When you are doing what you love to do, you don't get tired. You actually become very energized. And at home, you are very energized. Okay, is there another question? Brenda, Tandy, your mics are on. Do you want to say something?
Hello everyone. Please, let's get involved with Dr. Nellie. And so I think this topic is quite important. And Dr. Nellie, you mentioned about women in a marketplace. And I think you mentioned something very, very important, where you said that we cannot excel in the marketplace and fail in our families. And I think looking at how the society is going, this is basically one of the challenges that the society is facing, where we see that we all want to climb that career ladder. We all want to reach the top and all that. But when we look at sometimes our society, we can see our society is ailing. We can see our society is sick. How do we encourage more women to actually bring that balance, to understand that the society actually depends on us? How do we do that?
Okay, like I said, you cannot give yourself, to others, to your husband, to your children, without actually giving yourself to yourself. Okay, I like what I've just said. It is important for you to give yourself to yourself. How do you do that? Because society is looking for women, actually, unlike the way it used to be. I know there is still a few issues with our men folk here and there. Basically, it's to do with how we are also carrying ourselves. For example, I was speaking, is it yesterday? No, the other day on International Women's Day. When I was speaking there, I actually found out that women, you know, in population, we make about 49.6%, just women. But you'll be so surprised that out of that percentage, only 10 nations have got women as heads of state. Only 10 nations have got women, you know, as heads of state. And then about 13, you know, countries have got women who are in decision-making positions, like who can actually, you know, pass some policies. And in Africa right now, we've got only Rwanda as the only nation that has got about over 61% women representation in cabinet. Now, question is, who votes? Zambia is going to the polls on the 12th of August. Do you know that many women, okay, many women are just going to be cadres? Many women are dancing and clapping for politicians. They're just wearing wrappers to clap and to dance but yet we are the majority who are voting. The marketplace ground has been leveled. The nations even sponsored. Do you know that even when it comes to grants, anything that has got women attached, the grant is going to work well. There are so many programs, but how many women have realized to step up in the marketplace and become, you know, counted in that marketplace? We like carrying our emotional aspects and our problems, you know, from home. We carry them at work. Okay, there is a company, somebody was talking to me that they don't want to employ a young girl who has just gotten married, because the moment she's gotten married, she's going to be pregnant. She's going, every time she'll be getting permission about the baby who is sick and the other who is, you know, not eating well and everything. So that is why in balancing yourself, it is very important to really plan your life. What is it that you want to do when? And you shouldn't substitute yourself in the name of marriage. You shouldn't substitute yourself in the name of having children. Again, do not substitute marriage and substitute having children for the sake of your career. That is why it is important for you to understand, when are you doing this? And when you're doing that, please reach the top of whatever it is that you're doing. Get to develop more skill so that you are needed at the top. It's too overcrowded down here. You need to add skill, add value to yourself over and over, and check platforms that are really crying out for women. And one of them is the political arena. The political arena is looking for women to step up. When it comes to business, you know, the business sector, and when I talk about business, I'm not talking about you buying and selling. You know, just going to China to buy things and sell. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about inventions. You know, the world is looking for women who can invent new ideas, invent new things, so that you can actually step up and come out of that frustrated place. When you are busy as a woman, do you know that you will less be frustrated? You won't be frustrated easily because you have become an asset and you shall be respected. Okay, any other question?
Dr. Nellie, thank you so much. For those interested in politics, in 2 weeks' time, we're going to have Honorable Dudley for women in politics. I think you've touched very, very important point. Dr. Nellie, I really want to bring a point which is so crucial for our times now, talking about gender-based violence. And this is quite important for us to discuss right now, because as much as we want to balance, but we always say in the world, it takes 2 to tango. How can we have that balance if on the other hand, we're not getting the support that we need, or we are being abused? How do you think, from your point of view, we can still promote that work-life balance within maybe an abusive society or an abusive family? What is your point of view around that?
Okay, so first and foremost, Vupe, I've seen your hand. You come after I answer this question. So first and foremost, It is important for us to start training our girl child. Just from you, when you start having that child, you need to train them to open up. Okay, a girl child is not just for the kitchen. You need to start educating the girl child to open up so that they don't keep things to themselves. Do you know why there has been a lot of abuse? It is because they told us, don't say. When something happens to you, don't report anywhere. And when something happens to you, it is your fault and all that. So we need first and foremost to start tapping into the girl child's life and begin to educate this girl child on how to develop herself and how to be assertive and how to know that it is not marriage that defines a woman. We need to change the narrative. The narrative has been that, you know, for you to be worthwhile or for you to gain the status in society, you must be called Mrs. We need to change the narrative. We need to start educating ourselves that first and foremost, you are whole. As a woman, you are 100% whole without a man. You don't need a man to be 100%. You are 100%. And we need to get this information to reach every woman out there. Every woman must know that they don't need a man to become. They need themselves. When we change that narrative and we begin to educate ourselves, and like I said, developing oneself, having that esteem, self-esteem about yourself, and not showing vulnerability, you know, growing within yourself and developing yourself to become an asset, focusing on your purpose. This is something that I keep encouraging people. When you've understood who you are, when you've known who you are, even a man will know who to play with, will know who to abuse. That is why we must learn to speak out. We must learn to become assets, because many times women are not, are being abused because they are waiting to, they are waiting for money from the husband. They are waiting for the husband to pay rent. They are waiting for the husband to do whatever. So this is why, even from the grassroots, even when you are not educated, do you know that we actually can develop ourselves to be empowered so that you are financially independent? Some women are still in those abused homes because the man is the one who has the money, and they cannot say, they cannot go. I was dealing with one case where I was telling the mother to go and report this issue because the man was abusing sexually, abusing the child and even beating her. And she was there helplessly telling me, if I report this case, this marriage will come to an end. Where do I take the 4 children? Where do I go? So this thing is so vast. So we need to tackle it from different angles in order for us to have permanent solutions. So apart from empowering ourselves, we need to learn to speak out. We need to learn to support one another. As women, we need to unite. We cannot continue pulling each other down. We also need to really pay attention to our girl child. Let's begin talking to our girl children from the age of 2. Begin to prepare this girl child that she has what it takes. She doesn't need a man for her to be who she should be. And that purpose comes first, even before marriage. Because many times when you enter in marriage without really knowing who you are, that is why abuse takes place. Okay, Bupe, you can ask your question. Then Dr. Jackie, you can also ask your question. We have how many minutes? We have 7 minutes to go. Bupe, unmute.
Thank you very much, Doc. So my question is, I think I'll use myself as an example. I've been married for some years now, and I've been a housewife all along. And obviously now I really want to put myself out there and be able to walk in a way that I know I should be walking more towards my purpose. So my question then is, how does a young woman position herself to become believable, to show that you really do have something that you can give to the world? Because there's a perception, about us young women that perhaps we're not serious enough or we are too engrossed in our marriages. So how really can you position yourself to show that, look, I'm ready for the marketplace, I can perform and I can execute whatever I'm tasked to execute? That's my question.
Thank you for that question. Dr. Jack, you can also answer, then I'll combine the answers.
Well, mine is not a question as such. Mine is this new understanding of balancing like you said, balancing, many people thought it's putting many acts together and being able to do it. But this new thing that you have brought across of actually putting 101% in what you are doing, I think for me, will change a lot of things. It's an avenue I'll probably have to start walking, and yeah, I appreciate that aspect very much. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Doc. Thank you. So Bupe, okay, how do you now, okay, become that woman? So since you've given yourself as an example, I'll still give you as an example. So here you are, very well talented young girl, very well talented young girl. You have set yourself, you are already on social media platforms. You are into, poetry, and you do it effortlessly, okay? And you have been joining, for example, you've been joining this morning gym trainings and all that, just to remain focused in the morning. You have joined a moving group, the Project Life Design Group, and you want to be part of, the group that is assertive, that is moving. So you are already on the right track, because there are several things that you are actually supposed to do in life. The best example that I give, that maybe it can be a take home for many of you in life, you need to learn to carry your cross, okay? Every person must carry their cross. How do you carry your cross? The cross is like this. So we've got this short piece here. This short piece, this is where the head leans. And where the head leans, you find that there's a bit of protrusion. Every individual, if you really want to stand out and you want to make a difference, you need to find a mentor. You need to find a leader who can speak into your mind. You need to find a leader in your life who is able to see beyond where you are. As you can see, the head is here, but you see a protrusion. So usually a mentor is somebody who is well experienced, who has known some things that you don't know yet, and they see into your future. They see into the future, not into your experience.